welcome you to Focus on Liberia. Good evening, good evening, and good evening wherever you are. This is Focus on Liberia. Welcome to our broadcast. I'm Anthony C. hosting today. And in today's edition of our show, we are having a conversation with Chuchu Alex Jones. Mr. Chuchu Alex Jones is the co-founder of the movement to make Liberia better, and he has joined Focus on Liberia in this evening edition of our broadcast. Today is a one-on-one with Mr. Alex Jones. We are discussing Liberia current political climate, and you know that if we say Liberia current political climate, we will have a lot of issues to talk about because there's a lot that is going on. We heard about 3 persons that died. Some people are saying they got killed from LRA. We have the opposition political parties, the CPP, that's the collaborating political parties. They said they are going to protest because a writ of mandamus that they have filed with the Supreme Court has been denied. And the thing what they are asking for is the right thing to do, but the court is saying it's not going to happen. But that's not all. Anything you can think about that is happening in Liberia now, in your opinion, that is not right. That is why Alex Chuchu Jones wants us to talk about. He had no idea that he got himself into trouble here at Focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony C. Let me welcome Mr. Alex Chuchu Jones. Mr. Jones, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Mr. Sia, thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
All right, Mr. Alex Chuchu Jones. We will find out whether you have the pleasure of being here to answer the tough questions. We will waste no time. Our overall topic here is the Liberia political climate. And then after that, we will go into specific issues. So you are a Liberian. You want a better Liberia. And it's for that reason there's an organization called the Movement to Make Liberia Better that you have to co-fund. So tell me, when we're talking about Liberia political climate, what are you talking about? I don't understand. I mean, rain falling in Liberia. What are you talking about?
Well, I think you haven't been living under a rock because Liberia right now is in a very, very bad state of affairs. There's very high levels of economic decline. There is confusion. There is pandemonium amongst Liberians, both at home and in the United States. There is a lack of leadership, both in the government and from the sides of the opposition. And the country is degenerating into chaos. And I want to be the first to sound our alarm. As you can recall, months ago, I was on this very program and I made my views known and said that unless Liberians wake up and select good leaders, this country will continue to decline to chaos and confusion. And this is what is happening, especially in the wake of the recent health pandemic. People are striking for lack of pay and compensation. There's been massive corruption in the government. There is being cahoots in the political parties doing primaries, and it's a mess. And I think as a Liberian, I have a right. I love my country. I don't speak up about these things because I think most times we tend to leave the political or the social economic affairs with people we call leaders. And we as Liberians don't step out or speak the truth to power. All right. And it behooves all of us as Liberians to get involved in this process. Our family live back home. We are Liberians. We have just as much rights to discuss our national issues, to call on leaders to do what is right. And when they do not do what is right, it's our responsibility. I would say lastly, the biggest responsibility of a race or people is the responsibility as a citizen. You don't have to be in government to to advocate for truth, to advocate for a better lives for other people. So I hold that responsibility as a Liberian citizen with pride and dignity, and I will continue to fight until our country gets on the right path.
All right, thank you so very much. That was Alice Chuchu June giving a unique overview of Liberia political climate. You heard him there. He did not tell you anything better about Liberia, both on the government side and also on the side of the opposition. Because we have a government that is charged with the responsibility to make our lives better or to make Liberia and Liberians, life better. Let's start with the government. And one of the things that happening right now that everybody talking about is this death. So the president said the two individuals who were found in the car were killed. And then the next day there was another death reported about another official from the LRA, Mr. George Fambutu. And I told that it was a hit and run, but according to the police said that, well, he was driving a car and there was, he lost control of the steering and then he hit somebody, they rushed into the JFK and then he was pronounced dead. But others are saying that is not the case. The man was chased by some individuals who wanted him dead. So that is 3% that just died from one agency or government. Is there something normal or suspicious in your opinion?
Well, first of all, my condolences to the family on behalf of myself and on behalf of the movement to make Liberia better. Any death or premature deaths in Liberia is, it's a tragic situation. Liberia still has one of the lowest life expectancy. It has one of the highest illiteracy rate. It has one of the highest unemployment rate in the world. And poverty, extreme poverty, is at high levels in our country. And every day for people to survive is a challenge. The basic things of just meal and having a place to stay and having the opportunity to grow up as a young man or woman is a challenge in our country. So my condolences goes out to the family, and this is part of the reason why people like me and you and many others are concerned about Liberia. We're not concerned because we want to become political leaders or we want to become talk show hosts or we want to become, people of popularity. We're concerned because of the love for others. At least that's where I know most of the people that I associate myself with. They care deeply about Liberia. They want to see the lives of the people there improve. And most people want to go home. But let's be very clear, all right? Why this may be a situation there's many eyebrows raised and there is suspicion on our governments, past and present, that use any means to silence opposition or to silence anyone who comes out to reveal the truth or who opposes them. That's not a secret in Liberia. This has been a long history and pattern from I would say, back to the King administration to Todmont and Thorberg, Samuel Doe. Many people were missing. Many people died mysteriously. So to ignore the fact that there was some conspiracy or to at least to see this as a conspiracy would not be far-fetched. At the same time, people do die. Liberia has a huge crime rate. All right. There's lots of reason for people to commit murder because the country is suffering. The average income in Liberia is less than $60 a month. So under those circumstances, you're going to have suffering. You're going to have mysterious death. You're going to have chaos. You're going to have all kinds of situations. So what I would say is Liberians need to sit back and look at the totality of the situation. We can't wake up every day alarmed because somebody fell off a bicycle or motorcycle, or every day we get up and, $100 million gets missing. We can't live our lives like this. We have to have a plan and we have to have a direction. If the government cannot provide the leadership, and every country needs opposition. But if the government is inadequate, then you do need an alternative, or you do need an opposition to either help that government achieve the goals of lifting the people out of poverty, or to make the people aware of their basic rights. In each case, or in both of those cases, both have failed mysteriously or catastrophically in Liberia. So we can't be alarmed by every situation. So what I want to discuss today is what is leading to these kinds of situations. And that's hopefully some of the answers we'll look
And
at.
Mr. Jones, we will get to the factors that are serving as catalysts for these things that are happening. But it will be good for us to really look at it. You said it right. This is not new. Previous administrations, we've seen death under mysterious circumstances as well. But then this government came to make it better. And you are saying, well, this is not new. It's like you're trying to normalize, the severity of the death of these individuals that are event happening. So we shouldn't be alarmed. Why what you mean by that?
Well, this is what I mean. I would assume my assumption would be, and I'm a very strict person in terms of my views, so I'm very unapologetic. I'm sure I don't know the political affiliation of the individuals that lost their lives, but if we can really go back and do some research, I would assume that they were both members of the CDC. Okay, and I stand corrected. Um, in that kind of situation, people join political parties. People join organizations in Liberia that they know very well is not in the interest of the Liberian people. And most times when they get sometimes what they deserve. Because you should not support. Now, I'm not suggesting that these particular people uh, deserve what they got. No, nobody should get killed for any reason, what are their views or whatever. So let me make that very clear. But what I'm saying is that we embrace a corrupt system, okay? Because it benefits us, because it gives us job, or it makes us connected to a particular party. But then when a result comes where it becomes detrimental to your fellow friend, we know about Matthew Innes. We know about Harry Grease in Liberia that got killed, who happens to be one of Ellie Johnson Sirleaf's staunch supporter, raised money for Ellie Johnson Sirleaf. So am I supposed to go to sleep worrying where, yes, a man, during the whole entire first term of Ellie Johnson Sirleaf, where she exploited the country, all right, became, in effect, a democratic dictator, kept his mouth quiet, okay, received millions of dollars from Liberia through his position at the LPRC and other areas of compensation. But then he falls out with the government, right? Then all of a sudden now he becomes this white knight. So that's what I'm talking about. You
Mr.
get
June,
some.
are you suggesting that Harry Grease was killed by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf or her government?
Oh, absolutely. I can almost ascertain that that was the case. He was a man who became very critical. Yes, if you look at the evidence, your man leaves a hotel. The video camera gets, for some reason doesn't work, and he dies mysteriously. His family believes that he was killed by the administration of
But
Ellie
that
Johnson.
what the family have believed. But the final report on Mr. Grieve, according to the newspaper in our possession, the newspaper told us that there was an autopsy performed by a medical expert, and that Grieve died by drowning, and no one killed him. And you
Okay,
think
so
that is a big lie?
did he go swimming? If you die by drowning, it doesn't mean that somebody didn't cause you to drown. So it's the same thing in this case when you do an autopsy and they found that, of course, we already know the person was murdered, right? So what the autopsy is going to prove? It's going to prove that the person was murdered. It's not going to prove that who murdered them. So don't be, Liberian people, we so get excited once we hear some, talking heads, we're going to do it. What is the autopsy going to do? If the autopsy says that this person neck was cut off, it doesn't say anything beyond that. It doesn't say who killed them. So the idea of autopsy in this case is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Everybody knows that these individuals were murdered. They didn't die by accident. They didn't get in a car crash or they didn't fall off a building. They were murdered. So what is the autopsy is going to prove differently than the fact that they were murdered?
All right, Mr. Jones, about the employees of LRA, the president of Liberia said that they were killed. That's what he said.
So
But then
murder.
he said that, it might have been a boyfriend and girlfriend kind of thing involved. And then in the very time he was talking about them being killed, he floated this idea that there are some Liberians who have been deported to Liberia who are in a constant habit of engaging in these kind of activities, including armed robbery. What do you think the president was up to by saying those things?
Well, the president, of course, has to exonerate himself. I mean, obviously, the accusation here is that the president or the government is involved, and so he has a right to come out and give reasons why he believes that this has nothing to do with the government. Again, the question is, like I just said, the evidence is these people were murdered. So everybody agrees they were murdered, right? The question now, who murdered them? And everybody's going to come with suspicion. And no autopsy is going to prove who murdered them. Let be very clear. Autopsy only gave you the cause of death. It doesn't say whether this person was strangled, their neck was cut off. It gives the cause of death, how the person died. Like in the case of Chris, was drowned. It doesn't say who drowned him. So I hear a lot of Liberian political leaders and a lot of people talking foolishness about autopsy. What is that going to do? In every situation in Liberia, I see that it's turned into a political theater. When the real issue in Liberia is the suffering of the people. The real issue in Liberia is the lack of leadership. That has always been the issue. And lack of leadership, not just in the government, but in the very political parties. The very political parties, and I'm going to name the CPP, the ANC, they are some of the most mismanaged, incompetent organizations you can find on the planet. But these are the people who are holding government. We're going to talk more about that on Saturday because I'm fed up with this.
All right. Yeah,
People
we'll
need,
come to the opposition political parties. Let's conclude my final question on this issue, then we'll move to the next. Is that now that the president said that these people were killed, do you have any reason to believe that the government going to do all it can to find the killers and that the killers will be brought to justice in
no,
a very speedier way? Should we hope that?
absolutely not, because that has not been the pattern of Liberian government. So this is going to be another case where two people lost their lives and nothing is going to come from out of it. That's the hard truth. There's no what came out of Greece, what came about Matthew Innes, what came about Baby Francis. So let Liberia stop playing politics. The problem here is our system is rotten. And the reason our system is rotten is because we have people who make their living off of this rotten system. And most of those people reside in the opposition. Others reside in the House of Representatives. And they use these people's deaths as a political means to gain permanence and power. They become casualty, they become collateral damage. So that's the real issue in Liberia, and that's what people don't want to talk about. So there will be no investigation that will lead to anything. No one will be found guilty, and no one has been found guilty in Liberian history for crimes like these.
So,
So
Mr.
what we're
Jones,
talking about, we should move on.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
Mr. Jones, you mentioned earlier that our problem is the lack of leadership from both sides of the political divide.
yes,
So let's talk about the opposition a little bit. You know that the opposition should be the alternative, as it will be in any democracy. When this government is in power, the alternative to that government is the opposition. So, given that you are painting a gloomy picture of our current administration, do you see alternative on the other side, talking about the opposition political parties?
No, absolutely not. And that's the tragedy in Liberia. The tragedy in Liberia is that political parties in Liberia has been an utter failure. Most of these people cannot run a lemonade stand. They don't have an organization. What they have is an individual. And they all gather around an individual at any cost or all costs in order to gain permanence in politics, which is where the money is. What organization does Unity Party has? Well, who's Unity Party's press officer? Where's Unity Party's processes and procedures to sell their message? What is their policy? What is their plan for Liberia? How they can lift 4 million people out of poverty in Liberia? You have a man who's been there for 1971 in Liberian politics and Liberian government. Do you think if he could change Liberia, if he was capable to make Liberia a better place, don't you think he would have done it in the 70s before I was even born? Let's go to the ANC. You have another individual.
Mr. Jones, before we go to the ANC,
Okay.
you just went after Joseph Yemabwaka. They call
Yes.
him the ambassador. Our
Yes.
friend George Lobo will call him Joseph Homobwaka. He
We
served
we'll
as
call
vice
him, we'll call
president
him
for
God.
12 years, and you think that he does not have the experience enough to turn the thing around should he be elected president of the
No, he
republic?
does not. No, he does not. He didn't have the even experience to turn the Minister of Agriculture around. And Liberia was never self-sufficient. He was Minister of Agriculture. He served on the Liberian Marketing Corporation. He had the opportunity to help Liberia and rescue Liberia from people like Doe. But instead, what did he do? He supported Doe, Samuel Doe, the dictator. So how can I, in good faith, support a man like that, that only cares about himself and his position and not his people? Okay, let's go back to the 12 years he's been in power. Look at his own county. Look at the place he was born. What development is there? He was in power for 12 years, and you don't even have running water in the town born in Liberia. And you tell me you're gonna put running water in my town, or you're gonna make my life better? Are you kidding me? These people are inept, and the only reason why they come to preeminence in Liberia is because people like us, me and you, and the thousands of Liberians who are genuine, who cares about real change in Liberia, we sit quiet and we let the political fools parade around like they own the country, parade around that they have a right to speak about national issue, and you and me don't have any rights. Who gave them that right? And are they seeing anything logical? When last have you heard Joseph Yema Borga talk about any economic development that's going to lift people out of poverty, that's going to give people a better education, even when he was vice president? What was Liberia Human Development School? Less than 0.04% for the entire 12 years. What was Liberian unemployment rate? While Ellen and her cohorts, the Vanny Shermans, all these people today you see in the United Party in Liberia, that have made millions of dollars all of that country, still parades around like some king or some chief. And we the young people, we're so silly. We sit there and we say, this is our man, this is our thing. But if George Lobo has some sense, he himself will be running for president rather than supporting a man who's going to be almost 75 years old when he becomes president. And that's the problem with us. We don't believe in ourselves.
Mr. Jones, Joseph Yemabwaka you're talking about, during his term as vice president, uh, record shows that Liberia was able to attract somewhere around $16 billion in foreign direct investment, something our country is hungry for now, to take us out of this hole. Don't you think that same leadership can be, applied by Mr. Boakai to get Liberia on track again?
Well, first of all, Liberia did not attract $15 billion. Liberia was exploited under the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf because of the corruption.
Mhm.
So that $16 billion, where is it today? How many people got made a mention about? Look at his counties. How many roads there? How many high schools? How many clinics and hospitals? So that's not something to be proud of. If I was him, I would dig my head in the sand to sit down in your country as vice president and ruling party, and for 12 years, you can't even increase the living standard of Liberia by any minimal or any marginable percentage point. That thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people today still live on less than $2 a day. and you walk away with millions of dollars. Look, what's the vice president budget on Ellie for the 12 years? Almost $2 million. What was his pay and compensation every year in Liberia? Thousands of dollars. He has a nice house. His kids are educated thanks to Liberian government, all educated outside of the country. Look at our university. Look at our high schools in Liberia. You don't have a fitting high school in the country other than the private Catholic schools and the private AME schools and the private or religious institutions. That's what I would be proud of.
Okay, Mr. June. So, what is your final verdict on Mr. Joseph Yumambwaka politically? Because the folks in the CPP think that he's the man who's going to pull them through to victory come 2023.
Where he won the last time. And these are the people who are the reason why we have George Weah, president of Liberia, and George Weah will probably win the next election from my own analysis. And the reason is that we have a deadbeat opposition parties. We have the weakest candidates you can find. You don't win election by people with questionable character or people with lack of public accomplishments. Being a government or a public servant is not an entitlement. You deserve that. I deserve that. All Liberians deserve that. It doesn't belong to Joseph Yumambwaka. It belongs to every Liberian young man and women around the country. So when we make this an entitlement and say that, oh, he's supposed to be there because Ellen puts him there, why can't he go to his county and set up corporation? I was just listening to Cummings' press conference and he was talking about the Liberia should focus on the private sector. All right, thank you very much. Okay, why can't the political leaders go and start businesses in the country, in the counties, in the areas for young people, employ them? Who's stopping them? They build mansions, they build nice houses, they live in America, they travel to America for healthcare, and they go and talk cheap politics. And that's the reason why you have a problem in Liberia. And I can say it categorically, the problem in Liberia already as bad as we think it's not George Weah. George Weah was just a necessity. These are the same people who supported George Weah into power. Okay, they're the same people, the Uris and the Henry Coasters. They are the ones who, and the Ben Servies, they supported George Weah into power because they thought they were going to benefit financially. They were going to get position, and then now it didn't work out, right? And now they're opening their mouths and talking about change. Look, Liberia has too many good people. I can give you a list of hundreds of Liberians who are qualified.
And we will get to those names. And we will get to those names. Let's look at the alternatives we have and see whether or not we should hope in any of them for an alternative. Comes 2023. One other person that comes to mind is Elizana Benedict Cummings. He is the current chairperson or chairman of the opposition CPP, I like to refer to them. And, he's providing leadership. They have their primaries, they have their candidates. You may have heard what happened here and there, but, they did it somehow. And Cummings, before you come in, somewhere around the 2017 election, we have a flyer that we are displaying on the screen right now. And Reclaim Liberia, vote for ANC, a clean pair of hands, reject corruption. And then right there below reject corruption, they have Joseph Yumambwaka, now President George Weah, Benny Ure, Councillor Bronskin, and Mel June. So that was Cummings and his political party pointing fingers at those individuals or other political leaders that I just named, that these are the problem. But today, Mr. Cummings is in a collaboration with Bwaka, collaboration with Ure. So what does that say about Mr. Cummings? Don't you think the man is the change Liberia needs?
Well, I think that the artist said a picture says 1,000 words. All right. And when some of us talking here, I get Liberians who, oh, you want to be look, we have better things to do in our lives and we are doing better things for our lives. But this is our country too. We have every right to speak. And I challenge any Liberian, the Boyga, the Cummings, the Costa, the whoever, come and have a conversation about how you're going to change the Liberian people's lives. They can't do that. They go to some radio station I ask them questions that, you know, questions that I don't know what journalists ask those kinds of questions to make them feel good about themselves. They can't sit down and have an intellectual conversation about the national issues, right? With any intelligent person. So the munya munya people, you see them with all these young men and women in Liberia, right? And they're misleading them. They turn them into militants, and they turn them into crowd pleasers and cheerleaders so that they can get to power. And why do they want to get into power? What's the real reason people want to go into power? They want to go into power because Liberian presidency, and I said it, it's the problem. The presidency alone controls every financial decision. They control every appointment in the country. How can you have a commission? Let's go back to Liberian Revenue Commission. The point of setting up a commission, right, is to provide oversight, right? To provide oversight. Who are the members on the Liberian National Commission? That's a quiz for you. Please tell me, who are the chairmen and co-chairmen of the Liberian National Revenue Commission?
You tell me, Mr. Jones.
Samuel Twe, okay, and the rest of the government officials. So now you tell me, if Liberian people were serious, how can you say you set up a commission to make sure that the government revenue is accounted for? But then you take the very finance minister and others, right, and make them part of the head of the commission. Does that make any sense? But that's what Ellen did. That's what the Unity Party did. They set up that structure. Okay? They set up the structure, and now the very structure, they set up that structure for corruption. And now the very structure has worked against them. And so what they want to do, they want to destabilize the whole entire country because they feel that they're entitled. They're the only people who are supposed to be over that structure. And so that's where people like Alexander Cummings play a role. He's a facilitator of corruption. There's a crime. They say if you're accessory to a crime, right, you're part of the crime. How can you say here 3 years ago and call the very same boycott and the very same URE people who have committed corruption in the country, but then in the same tone, you come by and say, oh, we're going to work together. You don't have good Liberians to work with? I can send you a list of them. So Cummings, you know, he's been a complete disappointment, and I'm going to do a whole series on Saturday on this program, and I'm going to lay the case. And I invite any of Cummings people, including himself, let him come and defend or to say anything that we're saying there is not correct. All right. He's collaborated. That's why you got to collaborating political parties with a bunch of criminals. Here's a political party that is endorsing Samoka, who is convicted for stealing $1.1 million under the Ellen regime that was supposed to have gone to soldiers. Their pension. This is in the newspaper. This man not accused, not alleged, convicted. And what he's doing, he's running for senator of Lofa County, where Boaka is coming from, who is the same Boaka man who endorsed him. Do you think that's the kind of serious people I want to sit here today and talk about? Do you think these people will ever come to power? Do you think any sound Liberian person will follow these people? You think why there are hundreds of thousands of Liberians today in America, in Ghana, around the world? Why you think they don't get into politics? Because of the disgraceful attitude of these people. They're not here for change. They're here for a chance, as Fatika said once. They're here to get in power so they can do the same thing that Ellen did. Ellen was an elected dictator. She controls everything. Who puts their sons in 3 key government positions? Where was Boaka doing that meeting? I'm not a public figure or political, but I know better. I have sat down in corporate meetings and disagreed because it was unethical, even at the cost of my job. And here's a man who should be someone of intelligence, receiving awards because while Ellen had convincing that he will be president of Liberia, Cummings cannot be president of Liberia because the Liberian people are not stupid. They would rather keep Via, including I would rather keep Via any day than Alexander Cummings, because what's what? You want to make Bernard Minister of Finance, or you want to send him back to Maritime? That's what you want? Because that's what you're going to get on a Cummings. That's what you're going to get on a
I mean, you said something that is so strong, and I want to push you on that. That Cummings will never be president. People said that about Josh Manoia when he was running. Today, Joshua is president. So I don't think what you're saying anybody can take that serious. And just those are
But
just
yeah,
men
he
words.
probably, and what I mean legitimately,
Mhm.
because there's one thing to become president the right way, which is standing up for principle, which is standing up for values, which is standing up for what is right. And it's another thing to become president or anything by any means necessary. So if Cummings wants to be president by associating himself with all the criminals in Liberia, then maybe he will be president. But Liberia will still decline. Liberia will still be, a shithole country, as what his name Donald Trump said, and he was right. Because these people are not serious. They come to America and they learn something. They claim to live in a society where there is order. They claim to live in a society where business ethics and social ethics is taught, that you don't associate yourself with criminals, that you don't go and align yourself with people who don't have the same intention. But you go back to Liberia, then all the knowledge you learn has changed overnight. Now your best friend is the guy who was charged up, the man who was saying when rockets were being rained in Liberia, that it's okay for people to die so charged up can be president. That's your friend now, that's your buddy. So in my opinion, this man does not deserve to lead Liberian people because he's been given the opportunity. And when someone squanders an opportunity that has been given, the Liberian people were looking at him at one point. The Liberian people has some confidence in him. And maybe a lot of Liberian people, they want something for him so they can go and tell him wherever. But Alex Jones don't want something for anybody.
All right,
So
Mr.
I will
Jones.
talk to those people. In 1 second, I will talk to those Liberians
Mhm.
that are suffering. Those Liberians today who need real leadership. This is not a leader. This is a man who's only in it for himself. And we'll go on Saturday and I will list my reasoning for saying that. I'm saying it. And if anybody wants to come and attack me, let them come. If anybody think that what I'm saying doesn't make sense, then go ahead. I said the same thing about Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I was a lone voice. The same time one way was sitting down in New York City, right beside me, when I asked Ellen Johnson a series of questions. And based on her answers, I knew that this woman had no good intentions for Liberia. I knew she had no plan. And they sat there and they were the ones supporting Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Go ask him. They
Mr.
was the
Jones.
one. And
Mr.
today,
Jones. Mr. Jones, in Liberian politics, there is this common saying we hear all the time. Oh, the leader is not a problem, but those around him are the problem. Uh, I don't know. Some people think that there is so much truth to it. Do you believe that looking at those who are in the political circle of Mr. Cummings, are those people helping to, make him who you see him to be not a good political leader, or is that
no,
just Cummings
no,
himself
absolutely
entirely?
not. Absolutely not. I've started businesses since I was like 14 years old. I've ran businesses. I've been a manager. I've been a consultant. I've written. I've been an editor. You are responsible for the people you hire around you. You are responsible for the friends you make. You are responsible for the people who articulate your policy. I was one of the founders of MFB. I helped select people in MFB. I didn't go to my friends. I didn't go to people who I think would say, okay, I'm going to agree with Alex Jones on everything he did. I went and got people who would disagree with me. I went and looked for people who were against me, people who were for different political parties. So the fact is, it has nothing to do with the Liberian people. The Liberian people are suffering because of people like Cummings, people like Europe, people like Josh Weah, who have had the opportunity to make that country the oasis, all right, and give that country the respect that it deserves. And
But
what do
how
they
can you
do?
say that
They
about
take it.
Cummings? Cummings is not holding any elected position. He has not been appointed into the Liberian government. How is
And so,
Cummings responsible for Liberian people suffering? He was
well,
in the
he's,
race, by the way, and Liberian people said no to him.
yeah, yeah, but what Cummings once said, he said, your past is going to predict your future, right?
Mhm.
If you are running a political party, right, where you come out in the midst of fraud and corruption, look at the Nima County situation. He's the chairman for the CPP. So the buck stopped with him. He's the chairman for the ANC, the stand-up bearer, the guard for the ANC. ANC doesn't have anybody with any voice. Everybody there, they're peddling comments. And that's the problem with the ANC. They need real, if you want to have a serious political party, then you need to be serious people. You don't need to be people around you who are going to be there to get $200 from you and tell you how wonderful you are. And that's Liberia's problem. We always we look for the big men. Comments will not come on any radio station or have a conversation. I talk to people like Dr. Pay, people like Dr. Kompu. These are intellectuals. These are people who work and teach and give knowledge to people in America here. When last do you see Cummings sit himself around other people like that? But he wants to be running behind these little boys and girls so they can cheer him up, let George react so that he can get the power. But we'll be here to give the truth because I believe in educating.
Saturday, folks, is that Saturday? Yes. Saturday will be a special edition here. Focus on Liberia. Ellis Chuchu Jones will be going. He will be periscoping Mr. Elizana Cumming, his political resume, at the same time his corporate leadership qualities and skills. All right, so Mr. Jones, let's do this again. Stay on the opposition being the alternative. What should they be doing that they are not doing? The things that they should be doing to suggest to Liberians that they are serious for a paradigm shift instead of just calling names and pointing fingers. What are the things they should be doing that they're not doing?
Well, that's a very good question. And I think that's the question that a lot of people should be asking. Like I said earlier, I embrace a political process because democracy has proven in much of the world to be a source of good, right? Oppositions are there for many reasons. They're there, first of all, to set an example, to show the people what good leadership entails. Meaning, they should be able to provide solutions, tangible solutions. They should be able to solve real problems. They should be able to contribute to society. Meaning, there's a lot of areas in Liberia society that is inadequate. Let the political party, if they were serious people, try to solve some of those problems. These are people who will sit down and raise $5,000 for Darius DeLone personal security, even though this man is taking $10,000, $15,000 from the Liberian government and cheer him up. But it will not take $200, right, to set up an organization in Liberia to fight rape. They will go and make noise on it, or they'll go to set up a counseling center, to set up a phone hotline, to set up some kind of shelter in Liberia where people who are suffering from rape can go to. But it will take money, and they will send it to Henry Costa, and they will send it to Darius DeLone, and they will send it to Alexander Cummings. So that's what political parties should be doing. They should be taking on social projects. They should be working with all the Liberians here. The gentleman is coming on tomorrow. We have a program called the Working Group, where we look for solutions. We talked about how we can revitalize the agriculture bank and make it a bank where it can help farmers. You would think that these people would be interested in that. They're not. We talked about building websites for every county. I personally pay for the website, maintain it, and build it for every county, for the Magidi County. And now I got to go raise money from white people in America to pay for the rest of the 14 counties. How much does it cost? $250. Now, one Liberian politician in the history of Liberia, no counties have ever had a website. How are people supposed to report rapes? How are people supposed to learn? How are children supposed to know what town you came from in your county? What's there? But what they're interested in, they won't be political, they won't be president. Do you think kind of people that are serious? So they don't know even the causes or the purpose of political opposition. They're there, they have people like Taiwan, all these people here who never got involved in Liberian lives. They never join any Liberian organization, only when it's appropriate, including the communists. Only when it's appropriate to run for office. The Taiwan way. I've been the president of the Liberian Student Organization. Okay? Years ago, almost I think maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago. Because I wanted to make sure that we have an organization in America that bring Liberian students together. I have worked with Liberian young people in Philadelphia, Whitney Avenue. I took my money, left my Wall Street job to go there and set up a company so that Liberian young artists and young people can get their talents. Where were the Liberian leaders? Where were the youth? Where were the communists? So when you do, and I'm not ever going to run for any office in Liberia, so let me make it very, very clear. I do not want any government position in Liberia ever. And I will continue to hold them accountable because the system is rotten. What I want in Liberia is reform. I want the TRC recommendations that Liberian government spent $7 million, 3 years, investigated all the war crimes. Even the UMA is in that report. I don't know, comments can read. He's in the report as one of those responsible, and that assets that he acquired should be liquidated so that they can pay restitutions to people who are raped, people who are murdered in this country. And you telling me, as an educated person, as an intellectual person, this is the man I should support. And I see young Liberians, they've lost their minds. They've lost their minds because what they think they're going to win elections and then they're going to be the next minister and deputy minister. Liberia is going nowhere until we start to talk about the truth, which means even if my brother is corrupt, I must say. If my political leader is corrupt, I must say. When Liberia gets to that point where you have more people like Alice Jones who don't give a damn about corrupt people and they're speaking the truth, then Liberia will move forward. Because right now, it's all hypocrites. They say they're doing rape, they say they're doing all these things, but only a few of them are not doing it for political reason. Most of them are doing it simply to make the government look bad. That's the purpose, because they never said these things on Ellen. They never said these things when people were even accused of murder. When there was a case in Liberia where a reverend was accused of murder, the girl hang herself, was molested. You have situations like that. You have the former minister of public work on camera having an orgy with 2 girls, and none of them said anything. But today, if George Weah wear Adidas shoes, they want to say, I'm a critic of George Weah, and I think I have the moral right to criticize George Weah because, number one, I'm not in government. I'm not seeking government, so my criticism is coming from a good place. It's not coming, I want this gentleman, this young man to succeed. And if I can help him, I will. I want Cummings to succeed. I want him to recruit good young people around him so that he can make good decisions. But when he goes out there and chooses to do the wrong thing like we are, then I must step in and say, no, this is not what Liberia is looking for. We can do better, and there are many good people.
Mr. Jones, you just gave us something on what they should be doing, but I need more. And so let me point you to this direction of, we've been hearing about that decentralization, and it is not the only way to diversify power or, distribute power or empower our people, especially in the counties. So talking about decentralization as a governing issue or model that you think opposition people should be looking into, looking at the budget, something you talk about, some people have floated the idea around that. Look, why can't we make noise that let the budget be divided on the basis of county, because we've been doing it in ministry by ministry on all the years, we gone nowhere. So our counties literally have nothing. Is that one of those things you will left for these so-called opposition political parties to be doing and that they're not doing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, now I would like that. I've already done it. The movement to make Liberia is the only organization that have come together and put forth a decentralization plan. Have put forth a health and education plan. Have put forth a judicial plan to make sure that all the counties have their own courts and system and how it can be funded and how it can be managed, and to put forth recommendations that the election commissions would be independent. That put forth that the anti-corruption commission would be independent. That every county will have one member on the anti-corruption commission. We already did that. It's sitting down, collecting dust. I never heard the Darius DeLong or one of these people. Why? They don't want it. I'm convinced they don't want that to see Liberia succeed. What they want is to be in power with the same corrupt system. Now, they're talking about the election being fraud. They didn't realize in all the wisdom that if you go to an election where the government is part of the election, but the government is the referee, the government, the president appoints all the election commissioner, that's something wrong with that, then you should go and take your money back from wherever school you graduated from. Because that's the first thing a political party should have done. The political party should have made sure that the election commission is independent. Ellen did it. And because Ellen was not serious, so when I tell you that these people were all dictators, Okay, Liberia, there was a
But
lot
Mr.
of money
Jones,
given to
on
Liberia.
that one is the system. You know, the system is as such
Who
that
changes the
the
system?
president must appoint. So what do you
Okay,
want them to do?
why does the system have to be that way? Then what's the purpose of a political leader? You want the same racism system in America because that's the system. There was a system in America that said you and I could not vote in the 50s.
Mhm.
There was a system in America that said we could not marry a woman who was of a Caucasian race.
Mhm.
There was a system in America that said the only job we can have in America was jobs that were picking cotton. Why would they keep the system? In fact, not just the system, the Constitution of America said that. The
Yep.
people not change it.
That women were
Who
not even
changed it?
allowed to vote in the first place.
Exactly. So when you talk, because we have real political leaders in America, we have real leaders in America that were not just looking for, oh, make me president, make me senator, make me representative. They were people who were fighting to change the system.
So
In
you
South
think they
Africa,
don't have legitimate concerns or claim,
no,
concern
they do
about
not. They haven't
their
struck me.
petition to the Supreme Court for the rate of endowments?
The only reason they're doing that again is political reason. I'm not here to tell you that
You call that
if
political
you
showmanship? Are you calling it political showmanship?
I like your sensationalization. What it is they figure out they can't win the election, the opposition party, because they ran with this their naivety. Okay. First of all, like I said, who you're a political commentator. Tell me one person in the ANC that stands up as a real political analyst. Give me the name. I'll
I
wait.
can give you one, unfortunately.
Okay,
They
fine.
pick and
So
choose where to go. They get on their little
okay,
podcast.
okay.
The
So I'm
voters
gonna
are
I'm
in
gonna challenge you again.
the voters are in Morovia. They get on their
Okay,
podcast. They talk here and there, and they
all right.
feel good about themselves, and they think they
So
move
I'm
near
gonna
people.
challenge you again. Tell me one Liberian person in the Liberian ANC party or the Unity Party that stands out as a change agent in Liberia, that ran an organization in Liberia, established some kind of change, held government accountable. Give me one name.
LSU, you're making it difficult, even to come
Okay,
on
I
any
will make. I here
responsible
to make it
platform
uncomfortable.
to come
Okay,
and
so
discuss. They are not
okay,
willing. So I don't
no,
want
no,
to
no,
bore
no,
you with
no.
it.
I'm not asking. I'm not asking them. I'm asking you. You are an independent person. You can't give me one name in ANC, one individual who you can look, who Liberian people can look at and say, this person is a change agent. This person will stand up for what is right. That's the political party you're gonna go. You're gonna go say that going to change Liberia. First of all, so
I can give you people in the ANC who are on Facebook, who write every day, who post every day. I give you that. That's all I see. I mean, I'll just be honest. That's all I see. Hey, Mr. Jones, we got to make progress here. You sent
let's
an
go.
article to us here from
Yeah,
JP Mortgage Chase talking
yeah.
about $30 billion commitment to help close America's racial wealth gap. Why you want to talk about this? This is Liberia platform, man. Why you want to talk about this? Talk to me.
Well, first of all, before we Liberians, we black people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're black before you Liberians.
Okay.
You were born black. You can change your nationality, but you can't change your color,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Tomorrow you can be a Canadian, you can change your job, but you cannot change your color.
Mm-hmm.
And just so people understand that, uh, I have been fighting for black issues in this country for the last, I would say, almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
At the corporate level, at the local level, I've ran campaigns in this country. Okay, and because what's happening in Liberia, all right, and Africa today is what's leading to the suffering and poverty of our people and the illiteracy and the ignorance. Many Liberians don't read; they don't like to read. So the only thing they want to hear about is what some talk show host or somebody going to come and say, "Oh, we did this thing." But the reason I send you that article is because this is a major development in Liberia. Liberia is a part of America because most Liberians live in America. Most Liberians have black kids. Most Liberians are victims of racism. They're victim of a lack of opportunity. The better black people do and the better Liberians will do, whether here or in Liberia. And we don't unite as a group of people because we're so selfish. When we see American people going through struggles, what we say, oh no, the American people, we're better than them. And when we see somebody going through struggles in Libya today, there's slavery, there are women that have been sent to, that was in Libya trying to get to Europe every year that are kept as slaves, men. Hundreds die every trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea. And we don't know these things and we don't care. When it comes to us. So that $30 billion, first of all, is insignificant. All right. And it's another scam by the big banks, all right, to play politics. And because again, the same thing that's happening in Liberia with incompetent in the F leaders, that's the same thing that happens here in America, where you don't have real leaders who understand the economic principles and who really care for the community. They all get a little bit of position, they get a little bit of education, and get what they do. They move to the corporate offices and they abandon the people. And when it affects them, then they come out and cry racism. You saw Omarosa in the White House, right? You saw Jada Pinkett Smith. When they didn't give them Oscar award, then they became black suddenly. So they will come out and boast about how wonderful things are because of them, how they got the corporate jobs and the thing. But the problem here is blacks everywhere are suffering. And unless we have solidarity and unless we understand the issue and try to fight for blacks everywhere, we as a continent, we as a people, we as Liberians are not going to move forward. So that's the point I bring this article that Liberians here, elections is about to happen.
And Mr. June,
We,
if I may, my focus here is more about Liberia. I have a young son here who is blind, so I know where you're coming from. I'm a father, and I'm concerned because we know the history, we know how things happen here. But this is $30 billion commitment made by just one financial institution in Liberia. You were talking about the history of Liberia and the United States. So I was thinking politically, I said, well, what did the man send this thing to me? I'm a guy who is in Liberian politics. So I thought you brought this article to show me that, look, Anthony, this is just one institution trying to say it will spend $30 billion in just 5 years period. If we have leaders in Liberia who are organized and serious, they can come to America and then they can get pretty close to $20 billion so we can build our country and improve our lives. But these people are fighting, some of them on Facebook accusing each other, talking about Joe wear shoes, talking about he wearing Senegal and propose this, instead of them coming to the West, with plans that they can sell to banking institutions to attract funding to take our people out of poverty. They're pointing finger at each other. I thought that was the reason you brought the article.
yeah, and that's part of the reason that our world is bigger as black people.
Mhm.
The continent went through hundreds of years of colonialization, where resources were taken off. We know about where the device of Africa, where Africa was divided among Western countries. We
Mhm.
saw Africa, the diamond trade, the slave trade, and all these things. So the point I brought out is that as Liberians, you're part of a race that is being suppressed. You're part of a race that is being oppressed, and you need to be aware. And you need to understand what's going on into the news and see how it affects you. So when tomorrow New York Times writes an article and says U.S. company goes to Liberia and invest, you can understand that what's going to be the benefit of that arrangement. Is your people in Sano County going to benefit, or Vanishema going to benefit? Comey is going to benefit, and then your people in
He's the
Sano
usual
County.
guy who benefits more. Vani
Right,
Shema.
right, 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 right. So that's why that article is important. That we need to understand the global community. And what I find with Liberians is we get too sucked into just that limited in our minds. It's so small. We don't read the New York Times. We don't read the Wall Street Journal. We don't read the economy. So we don't know nothing that goes in the world. So when even a British company or British, I read recently where uh, Boris Johnson has got a team together to go invest in Africa. And I see it in the chat room, oh, African, yeah, it's gonna kind of help. But no, they're not gonna kind of help you. They're gonna kind of steal from you guys. That's what's gonna happen.
And,
Because
and,
you don't understand that a British company going to Liberia or American company going to Liberia is for American interests. It's for American taxpayers. And our leaders are so sucked into petty politics that they can't even have the time to come and sit down and have a discussion. Okay, one of the things we do at our organization, we discuss issues. We bring people with expertise. So that's why we have to be inclined. We have to be, we have to, what you call, educate ourselves. And most of our Liberian leaders, what does Darius, they don't know anything about world politics or foreign affairs. That's the man who's going to sit on a foreign affairs commission or investment in Liberia. So let's stop the petty politics thing. I'm against tribe in Liberia, clear all the borders. Anybody can be senator or anybody can be senator for any county. Stop fueling this tribal thing, this clan politics. Oh, our unity party man. Oh, our CDC man. So let my country die. I'm gonna stick behind Cummins. Oh, our Cummins man. Oh, our George Weah man. Let's stop this nonsense. Let's sit together and let's
Jones,
discuss.
let me bring this to your attention. What I see that because of politics, people do in Liberia is maybe the USA ID will say, oh, we're going to commit $210 million to Liberia. Then you see people on Facebook celebrating. There are people that will go live, especially my friends
Exactly.
in the CDC. They will go live. Their government will succeed. Their government will succeed. I mean, how does your government succeed with a chicken chain like $200 million and you say you're celebrating? And then 3 years pass, we don't see anything. What is wrong with us?
Again, it's ignorance, and it's ignorant from the leaders. Unfortunately, people think that when you get a degree, then it makes you literate. No, you do not. There's a lot of people walking around with lots of degrees. They know nothing. That's why they're so focused on degrees. Does Bill Gates have a bachelor's degree? Does
No.
Zuckerberg have a degree?
No.
I can go down the list. Does what you call Larry Ellison, who Oracle, one of the most successful IT companies in the world, does he have a degree? How many degrees does he have?
No, zero.
Why in Liberia is all about coming to America or paying for something that you can probably get from the library or online for free. Because really, you don't even need a degree. According to Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, and all this, you don't really need a degree. What you need to do is open a freaking book and read so that you can educate yourself. And we got leaders, empty figures leaders around. I'm not talking about just people in the government, but young people.
All right.
Talk to them, ask them about the cocoa tree in West Africa. How much billions of dollars every year that leaves from Africa, West Africa, to come to Europe to make chocolate that we're going to import? They will tell you. Ask them the fishing industries in our country. The IT around the world, in Singapore, Vietnam, these are countries with tens of billions of dollars in economic activities.
Mr. Jones, you're even making it complicated. Let's talk about the rice that we eat every day. How are we doing with rice production in Liberia? Folks in cyberspace, before Mr. Jones can come in, the phone lines are open. If you want to call to participate to ask Mr. Jones a question, you are more than willing to do so. We will read your comments very soon. But I just want to let you know the phone lines are open just in case you want to call and participate. Yes, of course, this is Focus on Liberia, and we are in conversation with Alice Chuchu Jones. This is a political one-on-one with Mr. Alice Chuchu Jones on the political climate of Liberia, and he's saying it's not looking too good, both on government and the opposition side. He said it's a hopeless situation. We need to get serious about issues instead of just attacking each other on Facebook for things that will not benefit our country. So, Mr. Jules, I'm back with you. So now that all is gloomy for us, where do we start from to start getting it better?
Well, I think the first thing that people need to do is to start a real conversation, and I thank God I can be part of that conversation. Mm-hmm. That means we need to sit down, look each other in the eyes, and tell each other the truth. And the truth hurts. Okay? The truth hurts. And what do I mean by the truth? Let's start with it. Do I think that the government has the people in government to raise the Liberian living standard? Absolutely not. It was right on this show a year ago when I told you, bring your man like Winston Tapper. to become trade and industry minister. All right. It's an abomination. This man has long outlived his usefulness in terms of expertise. He does not. He has not done anything with all the hundreds of thousands he made with all the bank, central bank, agricultural bank, this other bank. What has he done
He's still
to
hanging
lift
around government
Liberia?
for job.
Okay, lift Liberia, lift Liberians, the very people who following him. When I was a little boy in demonstration, this man was minister of government. That tells you that these people, they're not smart. Okay, they should be running any Liberian person who had an opportunity in the 70s and the 80s in Liberia when Liberia per capita was the same as those in China and in Asia. They should be multi-billionaires. They should be running West Africa. They should be owning all the banks. They should be running a bank like Echo Bank if they were smart, if they had any kind of evolution, any kind of intellect. But they sit there, collect their $3,000 and a bunch of people around there, chief, doctor, this, doctor, that, professor. Professor of what?
Buying cars for girlfriends, running behind our little sisters.
Yeah, no, but let's just go to the
before they
academic.
can get in jobs.
Let's just stick to the academic. What solution Winston Tappet has written on any media that tells you that he knows about trade, commerce, and industry? What industry in Liberia in the last 30 years that you can say that able to sustain itself and grow and hire people?
And they say he is an accountant and he can't even start a little, what they call credit union bank in Liberia.
Not even you love credit union bank.
He's still running behind George Weah to get a government job to survive.
So that's the point. So we need to start with that kind of conversation, and it's harsh, but that's the true reality. If George Weah is serious, if he's a serious man, there are a lot of Liberians, okay, that are capable, that are competent right in Liberia. Let me not even come to America. That understand the stuff. Bring those people and give them positions and what you call reform the government. Take the what you call the truth and reconciliation recommendations and do the best you can do on it. If you don't do anything else, if you don't build rules, your legacy will be, guess what? I reformed the government.
Thank you.
Liberia has a better government today. And that's what Ellen failed to do. She brought this.
We have a caller, Mr. Jones. Hold on 1 minute. We have 2 callers, by the way, and callers are coming to you. Give me a moment here. Let me read comments quickly and come to you quickly here. James David, right? What about the Weah-led government who is working with MPP? So what do you say, Mr. Caller? That was not a call. That Mr. Jones is the guest here. Baton Cooler, that's a Baton Cooler, right? He wasn't convicted for stealing. The man misapplied the funds with the acquiescence of Ellen and Weah during their transition. All right. Evangelist Mamita, right? So, Mr. Jones, don't have criminals now working. Don't you have criminals now working in this government? James Davis again, fellow Liberian MPP and selected Liberian follow MPP and selected an MPP vice president. That is right, Dad. I mean, so how is it different with the current alternative opposition people, working with people from previous administrations that are corrupt as well? Dave Jar writes, always speaking his mind objectively. That is from Dave Jar. Let me see another comment here from David. Again, he said, Mr. Jones just making for nothing noise, and he should be aware that they don't care about people character. All right, Thomas Bros. This guy is naive. I don't know who the guy talking to me or you talking about. Thomas Brooks again. What did CDC do in their 12 years of opposition? No one is CDC here, so start going after us, in a fair manner. Fala Jacob. This armchair politician is a CDC cadet. It is easy to talk big when you are not in the arena. Why do you bring every ton dick and Chuchu June on the air? They are going after you, Mr. Jones, and we like that here. Focus on Liberia. Uh, You think we are in his sycophant will make it easy for anyone to change anything when the judges are all in his pocket? Stop comparing apples to oranges. This man is an American, so let him stay there and fix his country. All right, Mr. Jones, take a little break. Let me bring in Jimmy Eastman, and after Jimmy Eastman, we'll be going to Evangeline Mamita. So, Jimmy, quickly to the issue, Jimmy.
Hey, hello, Mr. C. How are you this evening? And Alex, as usual, your discussion is pointed and very intelligent. What I hear though is criticism, yes, and a lot of the points you made, those salient, but I mean, I left college, let me put myself out there, about 20 to 30 years ago. And some of the same points we hear today are being made again and again. And that was several years ago. So my question to you, yes, we know the theories. We know what could be done and what can be done. But now, you are the ripe age. I can tell you, you're the ripe age for somebody to go into Liberia now and start turning the wheels of industry. So my question to you: when last were you in Liberia, and what are you doing to have an impact there, or is it much the same like the predecessors? A lot of talk, but we didn't see enough action.
Thank
That's
you, Jimmy.
my question for you.
All right, Mr. Jones, keep that. Let me take the other caller here. That is Evangeline Mamita. Evangeline, quickly to the issue. Your question and comment.
Good good evening. I would say guess he's right on both sides that we haven't have anybody tough yet to stand up. Yeah, he's right on that side. But my question to him now, who do he suggest that we take in 2023? Who do he have in mind? And instead of him just going on and on both sides, it's not getting out nowhere. So what do he want the Liberians to do?
Thank you so
And
very
if
much.
he's talking about people, wrong people on common side, like Ure, isn't the government right now have all these past war law working with the government too? So what do he want us to do? Suggest, I mean.
Thank you. Very good question there. And let me take this other caller, Mr. Jones, then you can respond. That is Bodano. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, but that's the phone number ending in 5983. Quickly to the issue.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. I want to ask Mr. Jones before I ask him a question. Are you related to the Jones that was in Turbo administration? Do you know where about Turbo administration? And again, do you know where about Todma administration? That's my two questions. But let me go directly to the point. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Thank you. I heard a lot of things of you, and you expressed your feelings. But do you think you spoke of Darius DeLong? Do you think Darius DeLong is not educated enough? You spoke of education. You say you need not to go to school. You need to read books. Liberia doesn't want to read books. But do you think, within your own mind, do you think Darius DeLong is speaking for the Liberian people, or is he doing something good for the Liberian people? Thank you very much, sir.
Very good question. Let me take Joe Monyu, Mr. Jones, please. Uh, Mr. Monyu, quickly to the issue.
Yes, sir. Mr. Sia and Mr. Jones. I'm enjoying the conversation. Mr. Jones is hitting on some points that I agree with. Only thing that only area that he hit on that I disagree is the criticism of Mr. Alexander Cumming. But the part I agree with, Mr. Jones is right. What we need in Liberia is a group of problem solvers. And we can only do that when we look at what we assume are obstacles, look at those obstacles and extract opportunities out of them. If you go into Liberia, you look around, the opportunities, they're just in abundance. You see the trash in Monrovia. That's an opportunity for methane gas and other, even electricity, like they did in Ethiopia. So every problem we got in Liberia has been solved somewhere. And Mr. Jones is right. We need to stop focusing on this. Oh, this guy has a PhD, so let's put him here. People with PhD, they are there for research. Those are left brainers. They got some now they call left brain thinking and right brain thinking. The left brainers, they believe in tradition, kind of like Wilson Tapper. You put him to a place, well, he's a traditional guy. He goes where how it's always been done. You put a creative mind, a right brain thinker, he looks at it and says, okay, let's do it this way. He reimagined the whole concept of how that area should be developed. So that's the status that we have in Liberia, because most of these so-called PhDs and all these people with these the esoteric degrees, they suffer from what they call the paralysis of analysis. Instead of just looking at a situation and say, look, this is how we can do it, and here's going to be the outcome. They are trapped by what they learned in school. Well, the person that before me, they did it this way, so let's do it. Now, on the question of Alex Cummings, I think, and I said this before, Mr. C. Alex Cummings is a resource for that country. And I said it the last time. I got 2 business books. I read a lot of business books on Africa. And those guys, one is an Indian professor. The other one is a guy from McKinsey. I think you know McKinsey, one of the big consultancy. Right. They all praise Cummings. They know very little about what's going on in Liberia, but they were talking about what he did. He was a right brain thinker at Coca-Cola. How when he was at Coca-Cola, thanks to the strategies he came out with, Coca-Cola came out with almost $1 billion of market share in the Southern African area. It was thanks to Cummings. He came out with all these strategies.
All right, but Mr. Jones has not seen that. Mr. Jones has not seen that. I have not seen that in Liberia. Mr. Monyu, please conclude because of time. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you can't see that in Liberia because he's not given an opportunity. He's the only one during the last election I was talking about wealth creation. Why people thinking, say, well, you get a person a bottle of Palmer, you get in a jug of Palmer, yeah, and they sell that Palmer, they will make money. He was looking at a bigger thing.
Thank you.
He was looking at stuff like how people can create wealth. Like a commodities market and all those stuff. That was his language. The people in Liberia couldn't understand it.
All right.
So
Mr. Moyu, I think I have to bring you in for us to talk this topic. I think it is very interesting. Let me take my last caller.
Anytime, Mr. Sear. Anytime.
Thank you as always, bye. Joe. Thank you as always, Joe. Mr. Kesali Double, what's your question? So Alex can respond and then we shut this down quickly.
Thank you very much, Anthony. And thanks to Eric for always taking up his time to come to discuss issues pertaining to our dear Mama Liberia. Especially on his organization, Making Liberia Great Again. He has a whole lot of good, ideas in the ways to move Liberia forward, like I've listened to him on several occasions. But one main area that I tend to differ with him, when you try to solve a problem, you cannot bring in another problem that will even be worse than the problem you're trying to solve. Alex wants us to make Liberia great, granted. We all want Liberia to be great. But then he's saying that in the process of making Liberia great, every one of those government officials, small government officials who are on the ground should be getting rid of, and we should come in with a complete new phase. That is where I differ. In as much as we all want to see Liberia great, in as much as we believe that majority of the people who are working in government and who are even working in government personally are corrupt, they are the problem to Liberia. So say you want to go in with an entire new breed of people, it is not going to work. It's going to be resistant. So what I think we can do is to work along with the people. Work along with the people. Gradually we can begin to take over as a good one. Gradually we can begin to invest ourselves into the system, take over until you can have, you are taking over the entire area. But if you say you want to go in, tell you a new breed of people and you want to condemn everybody on the ground, I can tell you, Eric, I am one of those who will not even take that with you. I will not even agree with that because I know it will not work. It will be a fruitless effort. So I hope the organization will think about it and be able to come up with some other solution to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that's our last caller there, Mr. Alice Tutu Jones.
Question.
Quickly respond to the callers.
Okay, so I want to respond firstly to Dr. Kula. And if I don't call your name, please forgive me. I just wrote your
Alice, your voice is gone. Do something around that. Your voice is gone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. Now, go ahead.
Okay. So I want to respond to Dr. Kula first. I think he was one of the first calls. And the question was concerning Samokai.
Yeah.
That Samokai wasn't convicted. That he was supporting his boss. And I just want to use this opportunity.
Yeah, he said he misapplied the AFM money with the acquiescence of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And when we had took over during the transition, they brought that up and we had said they were going to pay. And that did not happen. That's what he said.
Okay. So let me just tell Liberian people like Dr. Kula is the problem in Liberia. Okay? And I will be very clear. This is somebody I know personally, and this is somebody I work with. But these are the people in Liberia that keep Liberian thinking and supporting corruption. Here's a man who is a medical doctor, right? He goes online and he talks disparagingly about Liberian women. And I assume he has a Liberian wife and he has a Liberian daughter. To the point where Liberians got together, men. Dr. Kula apologized to the Liberian women for what you said. Up to the date, he refused. We talk about the stubbornness and the stupidity of our leaders. We talk about how stubborn they are, even when they do wrong. I've heard Bill Clinton apologize. I've heard every intelligent man from Voltaire to Rousseau to a great man, John Maynard King, say I was wrong. I did something that was not right. But here's a man who could be considered one of the most educated people, will go and talk about his people like Liberian women are nothing. And then when confronted with it, he says, I'm not going to change my views. So he can go to hell. These kind of people are not going to change Liberia. These kind of people are going to, those are the people who jump behind the Henry Costas and the George Weah. And no matter what they do not tell these people, you cross the line. Don't do certain things. I'm a leader myself. Like I said, I had my business in Liberia. I'll go to the second question. When I was 14 years old, I ran a charcoal business when I never had food to eat. When I called my sister and said, help me, I didn't tell her to help me so that I can keep calling her. I said, help me so I could start a business. I went to Drew River. I was in 9th, 10th grade. And I started a business and employed people and supplied the police station, restaurants with cool. That's what I knew. I didn't know how to balance book. I didn't know anything about finance. When I came to America and got my finance degree and work in finance, then I understood what I was doing there was nothing different what I learned in school year, that you have to pay your employees, you have to treat your people well. So I can care less about Dr. Kula, and people should stop asking him to apologize because what his statement he made. Then he comes here, here's a newspaper article that says, right, Front Page Africa, and I'm going to read the title of the article yet again. It says, former Defense Minister Samokai, Deputy and controller sentenced for misuse of public funds, theft of property, April 23rd, 2020. This man said he can read. These are the people you say that they're leader. But then somehow Samukai does not know better as a man who served in the military, Minister of Defense, to tell you to know, to say that if I work for JP Morgan and they told me to do something inappropriate and I know it's a crime, I would tell them no. But Samukai doesn't know that he's some baby, that he's supposed to cater to Ellen. And these are the kind of people, so I don't blame the people in Liberia because this is a doctor acting like a fool on television, and we here will not say it because they're our friends. Yes, a newspaper article, the man is convicted. Whether he was convicted because he is convicted, he's a criminal. Why shouldn't he serve his sentence like everybody who in Liberia? Why should he be given a special privilege to go and run in office and people like Cummings will accept that and tell me that they want change in Liberia. The Liberia they're trying to build is different. Why Cummings will not come here and say this is wrong? So people like Cummings is just like people like Kula who don't stand for the truth. They're here to collaborate with the Henry Costers and all these people. Liberia has more educated people. I love Henry Coster. Let me tell you, let me be honest here. He has courage. The brother has courage to stand up to the Liberian government. But what he does not have is leadership and integrity. And when somebody does not have leadership and integrity, you are not worthy to lead others. You should be a part of it, but you're not worthy to be a leader of other people, because what's going to happen tomorrow if George Weah leaves and Henry Costa is the interim government or the president or Cummings is the interim government? What are they going to do? They're going to look at people like Barton Kula and Henry Costa and put them in areas of importance. And we're going to be right back to the same thing again. So I do not side with these people. And my job is to speak up the truth. I don't care if you're my brother, and I'm not related to any one of the Joneses in Liberia. That's an adopted name that I took. My mother is from Grand Bassa County on Darwin. All right. So I'm not related to any one of the Joneses that people think that I'm related to. And even if I were related to them and they corrupt, it would be my duty to come out here and speak about them, or I should shut my mouth. Public forum is a privilege. Leadership is a privilege. Like I said, I started an organization that I turn over to other people. And I make sure that people are there, they have integrity. People are there, we do check. People will put somebody into position. If I can do it here, and I have done it in Liberia, and I have done it in the Liberian Student Association. In fact, I was the one who got rid of the president because he couldn't give a actual report. When I went to do that, when the board decided to get rid of him, guess what? He called one of his tribal people to call me to say let's work together, and I told him, hell no. So we cry every day for people who stand up for right. But we have plenty of people who stand up for right, but we don't want them. We want the corrupt people to lead us because we like corrupt people. So that's the question for Dr. Kula, and I can care less, and nobody should beg this man to apologize. He's an idiot. So let him go find someone and sit down. To tell me, say that Brandon Samukai is not a criminal, and Brandon Samukai should go and become a senator. The next question, when last was I in Liberia? I left Liberia in 1996. Okay, I live in Ghana on a refugee camp. I live in Ivory Coast, and since then I've been in Africa for business. I've been in Burkina Faso as a consultant to consult the water and sanitation for Africa. I have been very abreast with every Liberian situation, and I read all Liberian information. There are many who say you got to be there. I disagree with you. Okay? Intelligence is not about you being there. There are people who never been to the Soviet Union, but are expert on the Soviet Union. There are people who never been to North Korea, but they pay to analyze North Korea. There are people who never been to Mars, but they're scientists. So the question isn't that what I'm saying here, the Liberian people are not, the Liberian people don't know anything I'm saying here is inaccurate. So what I've been go to Liberia tomorrow or I've been there, it does not really, it makes no significance. If I'm saying anything that's correct or inappropriate, then correct me. And I'm not going to Liberia because I want to go to it to get some job from George Weah or Cummings and compromise. If I'm in Liberia, it'll be for either a business purpose or it'll be for a legitimate cause. I cannot claim to go to Liberia just to exploit my own people and take pleasure in it and say, oh, I'm there. What am I there for? To go party downtown and drink beer? Those who go to Liberia, what they do? Do they go there to set up a company? Do they go there to set up an industry? So when I go to Liberia, it will be for that purpose. It won't be there for political to go there and say, oh yeah, you make Brandon Samaka senator. It will be a good purpose because my hard-earned money is not going to get on the plane to go to Liberia to go sleep with Liberian women and come back. I got better things to do. Third question, the lady was recommending the leadership. What kind of leadership? She agrees that, with the system, but who do we look up to for leadership? I would say this to every Liberian who listening and all who will watch this video. There's always a leader around you. And the leaders around you are not going to come on a hard horse. You see, the Bible said what the people are looking for the Messiah, right? And so when Jesus came in a manger, what the people said, the Jews today still rejected him because they expect Jesus to come on a horse and a white horse and with crowns. And that's what's happening to Liberians today. There are a lot of Liberians with good character in Liberia that can lead a political party, that are upright, that have stood up for what is right. Some even went to jail. Those are the kind of leaders that you should make your political leader. You should make your opposition leaders. And some in America. So if you're looking for me to tell you, say, oh, because the person don't have money, that means they're not a good leader. You don't want a leader who have money because you don't want his money. Liberia has a lot of money, a lot of resources. Why would you take somebody simply because of the money? You should take somebody because of the solution, because of the ethics, because of what they have accomplished. And the Bible says if you don't great with small things, we empower you with bigger things. So look at if somebody took a political party and that very political party is corrupt. They take their little political party minion and say, oh, this man got to be the senator or Nima Kante, Ta Wangwe. There's a man now who's supposed to come and say, no, have a primaries. Primary means that you look for the best candidate. Let them all debate. Let them all come out with ideas. And the best person wins the job, just like a job application. That's how they do at Harvard. That's what they do in America. We saw the Democratic Party. We saw how many people came on the stage. We saw how people campaign and sold themselves. When last Liberian political leader went to any real primary? They have these little things here where they gather a few, the few loyalists, and they say, "Oh, we have primary." The election, the presidential election,
Mr. Jones, 3 years now. I know you're answering question, but let me hold you there. And I am one person that continue to talk about this. Look at the recent primaries.
Yes,
we didn't see any debate, and now they have their candidates. They have their candidates. And for one position in Liberia, you have a 5 to 6. There will not be any debate. When Focus on Liberia even reach out to these so-called candidates, we want you to debate this person, they will decline. So what kind of democracy they want us to have?
And that's the man now that you say that he'll be a better president. And Cummings should know better. And that's why I'm harder on Cummings, because he claims to be the educated one. He claims to be the rich one. He claims to be the corporate America one.
And the very Cummings man, when hold on, Mr. Jones, the very Cummings man, when what's his name, Nathaniel Magay challenged him to a debate, he said he don't want to debate Magay. Why you don't want to debate the man?
Exactly.
You said that man yet knows nothing. You said this man is corrupt. That was an opportunity to go and rape him apart politically on the issue. You declined. He acting like he's so big, he's so special, he can't go debate. No leader in America will do that easily. Go ahead.
So that's the situation. We're not looking for leaders. How can you say you're the political leader, then you're the candidate? Then you're the chairman, you're the everything. If you have a political party, your job is to go out there and look for competitive people. Call Saye, call Jones, your debate. The debate is not to show anything, but to show who has a better solution to raise the Liberian living standard. But you say, no, I won't be the political leader. I won't be the chairman. You went to election, you lost the election by a wide margin. And the reason why he lost the election was simply because he didn't have any ideas. Then I see Pastor on Ashford Garden, but I will send you our economic plan. As if when somebody create a plan, it's supposed to be only certain people get a plan. The plan is supposed to be on the website, right? Yeah. Our plan, MLB plan, is on our website. You go to movement to make Liberia better.
Information about Focus on Liberia is on our website.
Exactly. So why should I go to court to know somebody?
Joe Biden plan for America is on his website.
No, so those people making fool out of you guys. So that's why I'm so hard, because like I said, this man has not exemplified real leadership. Even when you in corporate America, when you need a CEO, they go to an independent firm, and the independent firm will reach out to different people. They all will come in. You have a panel. They will interview you. You go back. They bring another set of people. Then they decide. Then they narrow it down. That's how you select people. So what political party in Liberia, to answer this lady question, has done that? Election is 3 years ago. You already got your candidate. How do you know the polling system and who the people want to cater to? Joe Biden just won a nomination 2 months ago. Because you want to do polling, you want to have the best person to win. So if you want, so you rather lose with Cummings than, for instance, win with Kwame Clements, because Cummings got the money. And then when you worry now why Josh Weah, all these people, and Salif, because they did the same nonsense with Ellen Johnson Salif, talking about the woman is a world harbor. Nobody vetted her. All our journalists in Liberia, okay, they do nothing but to promote big shots. They would never read a report or any kind of real analytical report on anybody, especially the person important. Oh, no. So they're not serious. The reason why Liberia is the way it is because the people themselves are not serious. I'm not talking about the ordinary people. They're using the ordinary people.
You know, Mr. Jones, we're talking about it here. I have somebody here with this post, Yusu Leo Kuyate. Sorry, brother, if I'm not pronouncing your name well. He said, why Trump didn't debate with Kamala? Cummings, we're talking about Cummings are president. Trump is president. Cummings are president.
Listen,
Cummings is nobody. He's no president in Liberia. So he should be able to debate any Liberian on government issue in Liberia to show that he's ready for Liberia. Go ahead, my brother.
When Trump was running for president, Trump was on every radio station. Trump was on every talk show. Anybody who would allow Trump to talk or have a conversation, morning show, CNBC, Bloomberg, almost every time. That's what made him popular, because he was out there. He was selling his idea. People were challenging him. Mm-hmm. When you have a political party that sits in some cocoon, call himself leader, the point of, one of the things I really love, I love knowledge. I love knowledge, because knowledge is the only thing that can free you. Knowledge. And when it comes to Liberians and Black people, we hate knowledge. You can tell somebody the truth. Somebody thought will be broken, and they would rather go rub chalk on it than to go to a hospital and get an X-ray, because we don't want science, we don't want knowledge. So we're thinking that that somehow in Liberia, some miracle, some divine thing going to happen, and Liberia is just going to do better. Meanwhile, you watch your children die, you watch your parents die, you watch young people dying day and day. Gunskin King, how long he stayed there? He dead. All of us was passed until we do the right thing. And what's the right thing? The right thing is to start holding people accountable first. Yep. First, hold yourself accountable. If I could not run an organization with distinction, I won't be here talking. If I could not run a business with distinction, I would not be here talking. So I hold myself to a higher standard than people who in my organization. So I didn't have to wait for somebody to tell me, say, oh, leave. I said,
and let me use the opportunity to blow our horn here, focus on Liberia. We do it better here. We do it better here with our technology, the kind of people we bring on our show, the questions we ask, and we don't insulting people.
But they will go to Prophet King.
We just want these people to be accountable.
Patton Kola and the rest of them will go to Prophet King, but they're cursing women, right? They're cursing their mothers, and guess what? Then they will say they're for women's rights. They care for women's rights. Yeah. But in the same comments will go to call the Prophet Key. When this idiot here, all right, they're scared of these people.
And it's good you talk about it. most of these so-called advocates, most of these so-called advocates, most of these so-called opposition people who think they are good, they will go and listen to that nonsense, all right? And then they come around, they say they better. How are you better when you're filling your brain, filling your brain with something that is completely rotting?
Right. They come around and they say the women's advocate, but they will sit there. The man who's insulting you, insulting your children, insulting your wife, has no respect, has no education. And I can say, like I said, if I can go after Barack Obama, Prophet Key, that's somebody I'm afraid of. If I can write paper about Barack Obama.
Don't even mention that man name. Let us conclude, Mr. Jones.
No, but let me make this point. So that's the problem in society. Is like we have people who are good, but we're looking for people who have money, and they even if they corrupt. Darius Dillon. I don't have anything to say about Darius Dillon except for the fact that he should be doing his job. Going out there and speaking about what the president is doing is not the job of a senator. I think I lay out what a senator or what the opposition should be doing. Liberians are suffering. Take the $5,000 or whatever you say you want to give, or allocate money from the budget so that young people can get jobs. Liberian counties today, right, they get $206,000, except for the 4 counties in Liberia that get concession money. Every county in Liberia get $206,000 a year for development.
That's a disgrace. And then the national legislature get about $33 million.
Correct.
One county can't even get $1 million. Are those
not
people
even
serious
$500 million? So
Mr.
that's
Jones,
the man now.
We got to close it here.
Yeah, we'll close it right here. But you know what? Come back on Saturday. Those who think I got more for you guys. But this is what I'm talking about. Darius Dillon is no leader. He can't even do his current job. And Liberian people, look for leaders. Don't jump behind any Santa Claus. People jump behind Charles Taylor. They jump behind Prince Johnson. They jump anybody who popular. I don't get it.
It's just a popularity context, Mr. Alex.
Please don't jump behind me. Please.
As much as Liberians continue to behave this way, this country is not going anywhere. Folks in cyberspace, because sometimes we got to close it right here. But on Saturday, you don't want to mix it. Alex Chuchu Jones will be on fire. And we're going to tell you he's going after Mr. Alexander Cummings' leadership skills and
lack of leadership. His
lack of leadership, he will be going after him. And you do not want to miss it. And we are encouraging Mr. Cummings to come and listen. And maybe he can take something.
He can come and join
if he really wants to be a president of Liberia or something that it is his right. The fact that this man been making all these efforts, maybe there's something he has to share. But the way he's going about it is not working. Folks in cyberspace, we got to leave it like that. Well, yeah, we have to leave it there. But let me give you this. The war is called leadership, and everybody's trying to look for it. The way it's been done in Liberia today, it's not the way to go. Because he is from my party, so he is the guy. Because we are from the same country, he is the guy. Because we in the same church, oh, he is my friend. Oh, he is my neighbor. So he is the one. No, that is not how it works.
Can you pin the movement to make Liberia better, and also the Magidi County website, so people who want to visit it, they can visit it and they can make contributions in terms of how we can improve it. We're going to build all the counties' website. That's our goal. And so if you can pin that up, it's a movement to make Liberia better.org, and it's McGibbeyCountyLIB.com. Visit it and see how the potential in your country. You just need good leadership and honest leadership, more importantly. Thank you. God bless all you guys. And I'll be back here on Saturday, hopefully. And I like the engagement, and I want people to come on and call, ask me questions, tough questions. Let's make our country better. I do it for that reason. I'm not doing it for any facetious reason or just because I have time. But I enjoy the engagement, Mr. Sear. Thank you very much, and the staff of Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Chuchu Jones, as always, for coming here to be part of the conversation. That is what Focus on Liberia is all about. We educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia, including politics. And that's the one I like to promote, because politics, my people, is the one that is trying to bury us economically. Thank you for watching. The song is We Are All Liberians. Listen to that song. Thank you.
We are Liberia people.